my name is Sarah Stark, and I'm playing the role of Romeo in Pigeon Shakespeare Company's production of Romeo and Juliet. And today I'm going to talk to you about a bit of my initial process. We're quite early in the rehearsal process at this point, so yeah, I'm going to give you an inside sneak peek. First of all, when I'm cast in a show, the very first thing I want to do is start learning the lines. I believe it's super important. As an actor, I feel like this is my #1 job. But also, the sooner that I can get comfortable and confident with the language means the sooner that I can get off book and really start to live and engage authentically with my scene partners. So what I normally do is, when I don't have the script right off the bat, I find some paperback version of it, copy of the text. It's likely to be quite different from the cut we end up using, but it doesn't matter. Just being able to access the words initially is really powerful to me. Now, ideally, I like to sit down, isolate myself, really focus in. I even use a Pomodoro timer app on my phone because that designates about 20 minutes of focus time, because I think focus is really, really powerful. And when I can do that and just really dig into the lines and take a look at that, I get better results. So what do I do in that moment, right? So in that time with the lines, I have right here, for example, the lark scene to give you specific textual examples, right? So Romeo has this little chunk of text right here. It was the lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale, right? I would go through that chunk of text and first of all, make sure I know exactly what I'm saying. And if there is a word that I don't really understand, like in this one in particular, they use the term jocund and severing. I felt like I should double check those. So I use lexicons when I can look up the specific meaning of that word in this play in that time period. Well, that really helps me understand the text as a whole. So that's layer 1. Layer 2 is that I really start to notate the punctuation and how that's flowing. So for example, in this speech, I would put little marks where the commas are versus punctuation, or in jammed lines where it kind of runs on and the thought continues, signaling to me that the breath needs to carry and support that through. And then once I have that, I have a good idea of the overall kind of rhythm or progression of the text. And then I can start to figure out what the beats are. So I take a look and just chunk it out, right? So in this piece in particular, he's responding to Juliet in the very first phrase. So he's saying, "No, love, it was the lark," right? It was not the nightingale. Laying that fact out there. The next bit, he gets really figurative and romantic with his language. He says, for example, "Look, love, what envious streaks do lace the severn clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops." Right? That's a lot. That's very poetic. So what's that's saying to me is that using that figurative language indicates that he's quite emotional. And this is difficult. Not only that, but we have an atmospheric cue in our version of the script that says Romeo and Juliet are above at a window. So it also leads me to believe that they're actually physically looking out over the landscape. Maybe they do see some of those items, like we know they see the clouds. He says, "Look, love," he's indicating to actually observe that. Right? So there's kind of those two elements of it, drawing out the language in a poetic way, because Romeo also wants to extend his time there with Juliet. He's not exactly eager to leave. And that's really beautiful. So it's interesting to see those two layers. And then at the end, he's very curt about his objective and what he needs to do. "I must be gone and live, or stay and die." It's an ultimatum that he knows he is being held to, and he has to make that very clear to Juliet without mincing any words about it. So that's kind of what I do on my own. That's how I start to dissect the text, and then I will just continue engaging the language as much as possible. Like, I have quite a long commute for my marketing job, so I love to run the lines and text in my car, just as much as I can expose myself to the language, I think is really helpful. Ideally, I like to have that tight focus time, but if not, it's all about just repetition, consistency, and making it familiar, making it personal to me, and figuring out what is the individual connection in every single thought and beat change that I can apply substitution to and make extremely real for me and detailed and specific. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to check us out, Romeo and Juliet, this summer. Thank you.